Hello, my name is Opal Singleton. The name of the show is Protect and Prevent. We lovingly call that P3 Kids. I am the host of your show. I'm also the president and CEO of Million Kids. That is MILLION, millionkids.org. We're an organization out of Southern California, been in business 15 years, combating human trafficking and online exploitation, especially of minors. And what a journey it has been. Today, I want to talk about the role of global money transfer in these financial sextortion schemes and also in romance scams. So to give you a little background, Million Kids is an organization that's been combating this and dealing with real cases. I am a post-certified law enforcement trainer. I've trained about 750,000 people eye to eye, and God knows how many over a Zoom. So we quit counting a long time ago. But my passion began about 4 or 5 years ago with sextortion because I could see where this is going. And even though we are on our way today and here today, I never could have predicted it would be as prolific and widespread and brutal as it is today. I am in the process of writing another ebook. My last book was called Societal Shift, A World Without Borders, A Home Without Walls. And what is important to understand is that the entire world connected by 5G high-speed internet about 3 years ago, started in 2022-23. And that changed the entire world. That means that anybody around the world can reach your child, and your child can reach anybody around the world. And by the way, so can adults, and so can senior citizens who are lonely and looking out on those dating sites and get involved in a romance scam. So at the same time that we have 5G high-speed internet, and I want to emphasize that because it wasn't just that Nigeria came online. They have the best technology. They have wide streaming, and they can have very sophisticated photos, and they can do AI manipulation the same as we do right here. They have the same access to money transfer. They have literally geolocation software. They have access right to your Google images. They can see your home. They can look in if your house is on Zillow. They can track your child. They can track you, and they can take your image now and alter it with AI and then begin to blackmail you. And what is happening is at the same time the world came together, then all of a sudden these third world countries have access to money transfer, global money transfer. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. You see, we have all heard about these scams where somebody contacts a grandma and they say they have their grandkid, and now will you go down to Target and get some gift cards and send them to me because your kid's in trouble. We are way past that today. So I had 2 cases that came up this week. Million Kids isn't just about me, by the way. There are 8 of us, and we share research and information. And we analyze these cases, and we share our thoughts about where this is going and what can we do to prevent it, and how do we tell that story so it won't happen to other people. So in the last week or so, I saw 2 articles I want to talk about in this podcast, and then we're going to go into the exact kinds of money transfer apps that are out there. Before I tell you about the stories, though, I want to share with you that NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, came out with their 2024 report. These are the people that take online reporting. And one of the things they said, they took over 20.5 million reports last year. Now, that's down from the years before, but there's some manipulation by the service providers on that. Maybe if you've heard other podcasts, you know what I'm talking about. There was actually over 36 million in 2023, but the service providers, meaning Microsoft and Meta and like that are reporting, only 15% of those service providers actually reported, and then they bundled like cases. So it sounded like there was a lot less. the twerps anyway. There was not a lot less. In fact, we think it's growing and growing. But what is happening is we're seeing an increase of these reports that are resolved offshore, meaning that the perpetrator is not in the US. They may be sitting in the Ivory Coast somewhere, or in West Africa, Nigeria, Myanmar, Cambodia, Pakistan, Philippines, all of these places where they can access our kids, but they don't have the same kind of required reporting like we might have in the US. So this is absolutely huge to understand. First of all, the numbers are down because they bundle similar reports, and also these app companies now are starting into what we call E2EE, which is encryption. And in that encryption, they say, well, it's encrypted, so we can't report it. This is why it's a race against time for people like Million Kids and others of us that are combating this. Because if your child is online and they send a nude and they're being blackmailed, and it's on one of those sites, platforms that is encrypted, then it's going to be very hard for anybody to interfere and help your child. So we need to get to this before it gets to that stage. So think about this a minute. 20.5 million and 84% resolved offshore. So this is why I want to bring it to your attention. So we saw two cases that came out, one headline, and by the way, just a kind of a promo here. If you subscribe to millionkids.org, and you'll get the newsletter. No charge for it. We don't sell your name. We don't distribute your name, anything like that. But once a week, you get all the stories about this kind of thing delivered to your mailbox. And it has the story, and it has our research team's commentary on it. And they are very enlightening. This is how you're learning as we go about how these changes are taking place. Okay, headline: Sextortion ring targeting thousands of minors worldwide was disrupted by the FBI. Now, this is a CNN report on May 15th with Josh Campbell. Is the reporter. I want to give them credit because I'm using their material. And I'm assuming that all of it has been researched and is accurate. So this is a story that started way back in 2022. And I reported on this story at the time because it was absolutely heartbreaking. There was a young man. He was, I believe, in middle or northern California somewhere, I think up by San Jose, if I've got this right. His name was Ryan Last, and a very fine young man, very fine, never been in any trouble, very smart. He had already picked out his college, where he was going to go. He hardly spent time online. And by the way, that's a heads up, mom and dad and pastors and all the rest of you out there. They go, well, we don't have to really talk to it at our church or with our kids because they're not on the internet all that much, and they're nice kids and like that. That is exactly what we're seeing in this financial sextortion, and we need to talk to every one of those kids. One of the mothers who lost their son, and I don't know if it was this mother or not, but I remember them saying, he's 17 years old and he's over 6 feet tall. He's hardly on the internet. I never gave it a thought. I never checked his phone. He looks like a man to me. And I get that. I really, really do, moms and dad. I get that. But they are also the same people that have gone into a globally connected world where there are somewhere between 20 and 36 million reports of violation every year. That's more than 100,000 a day. Okay, so we need these discussions. Now, it doesn't have to be a negative discussion. It can be a positive discussion, but most of our young people do not understand what it means. And most parents, by the way, do not understand what it means to be on the World Wide Web. Well, Ryan Last, he was a young man, was one of those that got caught up in it and ended up taking his own life. And his family is just absolutely devastated. as all the families are. At this writing, there are 36 mostly young men, mostly around 14 to 17, that have taken their own lives due to financial sextortion that is originating outside the U.S. So this gentleman is named Ryan Last. His mother's name is Pauline Stewart. And she never thought that they would actually find out who blackmailed him. But I will tell you that the FBI, I think it is, got involved in this. And they went over to a country. Forgive me, I had to ask Chat GBT how you say this, but it looks like Cote d'Ivoire, I believe, or Kavar, I believe. It is in West Africa. It's not a country I've been to or that I'm familiar with. These people in West Africa are 7,000 miles away from Ryan Last, and they talked this young man. They badgered this young man. They sextorted this young man to a point where he took his own life. So what happened here is U.S. prosecutors say that this gentleman named Cassie was arrested over in West Africa. They do not, this is one of those third world countries that do not bring their people to justice in the United States. So we would have to go there. And that is an important point, Mom and Dad, of why you need these discussions. Because think about this. We've had 36 young men take their lives. 84% of the reports taken last year resolved offshore. And most of our kids do not understand what is happening, that they will put a young person, and that young person in West Africa could be trafficked themselves, that their job is to look like a 14-year-old girl to our kids, and then seduce them into sending a nude photo at some weak moment in their life. Or maybe they get them while they're live streaming and they forget that camera works both ways. Or maybe in the middle of the night, or maybe they've broken up with a girlfriend or got in a fight at home, or maybe they're not doing well in a class at school. They get them in a weak moment. Or maybe they're winning a video game and they're feeling really high and excited, okay? But they will seduce these kids into sending a nude. I really want to raise the money to make a series of 1-minute videos on TikTok about why you never want to put another nude online. Now, I understand it's too late in this case, but literally 1 out of 6 boys and 1 out of 7 girls, according to a research study by Thorne, have sent a nude photo online. We must stop that today. We must have that conversation why they don't want to do that. So what happened here is that the federal prosecutors went over to West Africa. They arrested this guy named Cassie and a group of 3 other accomplices. So I want you to understand, this is not just a pedophile out to get our guys or our girls and get their photos and sell them in the dark web. We still have that kind of sextortion. But these are third world countries that have learned that they can make money by just tricking a U.S. kid. I want to put the fear of God in you for listening. And by the way, thank you for listening. I don't mean to beat you up, because I need you to help me fight this. But understand what goes through my head when I read this. We are just getting started. Think of the number of third world countries that have not come online, and think how fast that money transfer technology is advancing to make this easy. Our kids will be sitting ducks for every third world country in the world to make money by coming in and getting our kids to send a nude. And now with deep fakes and artificial intelligence, they won't have to send anything. And so all they'll do is take a hat and put a naked body on it and try to embarrass the living dickens out of these kids. And so we need to have that conversation right now. What happened here is that Ryan received a message on a school night back in February 2022. He is a straight A student. He is an accomplished Boy Scout. He had already gone to tour several college grounds to, go off to school. He had every goal in the world. He was a fantastic young man. Somebody reached out to him to pretend to be a girl, and they started a conversation. What happened eventually is that he ended up sending a nude. Then they told him that they're going to share explicit images of himself in return. Ryan shared an intimate photo. They demanded $5,000, threatening to make the photo public and send it to Ryan's family and friends. They prey on the good kids, and I think that's the key here. These kids are shamed. They see that image, even if it's a deep fake image, they die of embarrassment, and they are afraid to tell anybody. In this case, he said, I don't have that kind of money. They finally lowered it down from $5,000 to $150,000, and he paid that out of his college fund. They kept demanding more and more and putting lots of continued pressure on them. The mother was not aware what is happening. One of the psychologists that talked on this story I thought was interesting. He says, Scott Hadlin, chief of adolescent medicine and Mass General of Children in Boston, teen brains are still developing, so when something catastrophic happens, like a personal picture is released to people online, it's hard for them to look past the moment and understand that in the big scheme of things, they are able to get this through. One of the things I really want to do, and I'm trying to reach out to all the important people that can help me with this, but I really want our legislators to require all service providers like Meta and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them, that if the transmission is coming offshore outside the U.S., that it flashes a offshore button, so at least they know that it may be a 14-year-old girl, but you don't know what country they're coming from. They're not down the street like you think. Now, I'm not going to go deep into this one. I'll probably use this again when we talk about romance scams, but there is one that is absolutely heartbreaking. It actually came out in the Telegraph, which you have to subscribe to that over in London. This is an English lady, but I have done a 3-hour presentation, I think it's 2 hours, on romance scams, and they are one of the hardest presentations I give, because the loss and the heartbreak. These are adults, and all they're doing is looking for love. Okay, they go on a dating site, and the next thing you know, they fall in love. The headline on this is How I Lost $1 Million to a Romance Scam. This woman is she's 60 years old in the UK, and she is absolutely broke as she went through a romance scam. Now, you can look that up if you want to read it. I'm going to take more time because I want to talk about the techniques that are used and how this is happening. So what is happening is all around the world, third world countries are putting together groups, criminals, so that they can scam our kids. I've been watching this for a long time, and I've actually done some other talks on this, of something called scam farms. Now, these are originating out of Southeast Asia, actually, kind of really headed into Cambodia and Myanmar, but they're also coming out of Colombia, Mexico, and like that. So the article that I want to give to you here on this is written by Reuters. So we're assuming they're right. Okay. Poppy McPherson, let's give her credit. She did the work on this. And the headline on this is billion-dollar cyber scam industry spreading globally, the UN says. So this is coming out of Bangkok. Asian crime syndicates behind the multi-billion-dollar cyber scam industry are expanding globally to include South America and Africa. So are they connected? Since we just did a story in Africa, we don't know, do we? But what they're telling you is this is in the hundreds of thousands of people that are being forced into these cyber scam farms. And if you want to look that up on YouTube, go to scam farms and put it in. So this is coming out of Bangkok. That's Thailand, if you don't know. They say criminal networks emerged in Southeast Asia, opening up sprawling compounds. And you can see all this on YouTube if you put in scam farms. Sprawling compounds housing tens of thousands of workers. Many are trafficked themselves. In other words, they have quotas or they get beaten. They don't get to eat. And their job is to come in and scam your money here in the U.S., whether you're a grandma Whether you're somebody who wants to invest in cyber currency, whether you're worried about your grandkids, whether they can talk you into sending a nude for literally financial sextortion, or a romance scam, just like we heard about with the lady in the UK. In the United States last year, romance scams of seniors going online on dating sites, the loss totaled $105 billion only in America on romance scams. So it isn't just our kids that we need to talk to. So they're talking about the UN here and doing this survey. They're saying conservative estimates indicate that hundreds of these large-scale scam farms, again, you can look them up, just scam farm on YouTube, large-scale scam farms around the world generating tens of billions of dollars in annual profit. Mark my words, we are just getting started. In the United States alone, they reported losses up to $5.6 billion just in cyber currency, okay, cryptocurrency, including more than $4 billion in so-called pig butchering scams or romance scams. So that's what I read you. The second case was that's up to $4 billion now in romance scams designed to extort money from elderly, our young people, and vulnerable people. The Cambodian government spokesperson said that their country is among the victims of a cyber fraud industry and is committed to fighting it. I spent time in Cambodia, actually lived there for 4 months, and I'll see how this goes. But anyway, they take the poor kids out of the country and they put them in these scam farms. They think they're going to get legitimate jobs, and they are trafficked as much as anybody else, but they can't get free, but they have to perform. And that is the reason why they are coming in and badgering our old people and our kids, because it's all about the fact that we're now globally connected, and their job is to get the money out of the U.S. to the criminals that are holding them hostage over in Cambodia. What they're saying is the syndicates have expanded now to South America. This is coming from the UN, as well as operations in Africa, Zambia, Angola, and Namibia. Gangs have also rapidly diversified their workforce, recruiting people from dozens of nationalities, according to the agency, reflecting on how the industry scams target around the globe. Citizens from more than 50 different countries, Brazil to Nigeria, Sri Lanka to Uzbekistan, were rescued during recent crackdowns on the Thai-Myanmar border. So they went into scam farms in Cambodia and in Thailand and Myanmar, and they started trying to rescue those people, and they see that they are from all over the world. Again, as technology advances, we're just getting started as third world countries come online. So UN is saying that this has come to be a critical inflection point. I want to just add one more thing to this. AP, they're saying in Latin America, the report says that it's notable that Brazil has emerged as one of the countries that face growing sets of challenges related to cyber-enabled fraud, online gambling, and related money laundering with links to criminal groups out of Southeast Asia. What they're saying is new online markets, money laundering networks, stolen data products, malware, artificial intelligence, and deep fake technologies are laying the groundwork. What they're saying is all these technologies that came together just as just as the world connected by internet, and the fact that they can, hack us, get stolen data information, they can use AI, they can use money laundering. This is all coming together in the last 3 years. These technological innovations facilitate conducting these businesses online, and they adapt to crackdowns. So I want to talk about why this happens, okay? So what happens on this is that this is possible. This is possible because of the fact that we now have money payment facility. So there's an increase of 19% in child sexual abuse reports. As we look at what has happened, what they're saying is this highlights the core issue. Financial incentives combined with the relative ease which perpetrators can target minors and escape. And they also target seniors, as you know. So what do they use? Gift cards, peer-to-peer networks, family-linked accounts. The most common are these. The Cash App. The Cash App is one of the most frequently referenced platforms for sextortion payments. This headline, let me give you the headline in case you want to look it up. Teen sextortion victim payments, a closer look at financial mechanisms. This is being put out by Global Anti-Scam Alliance, also known as GASA, James Greening. We want to give him credit. Teen sextortion victim payments, a closer look at financial mechanism, looking at that. It'll also say understanding teen sextortion, financial mechanisms, and prevention. They're saying the most frequently used is the Cash App. And that is most often used for sextortion payments with kids that are 13 to 17 app through a sponsored account where parents or guardians can monitor the transaction. However, despite the safeguards, scammers have exploited this feature, making Cash App a popular choice for sextortion. Venmo, introduced with Venmo teen accounts in May 2023, just what we need. This app enables teens to send and receive money from friends and family. However, Allison Jameson, I looked her up, by the way, very powerful lady. Venmo lacks robust controls to restrict transactions solely to known contacts, which is easily exploited by perpetrators. Another one is Zelle. We all know Zelle. It's integrated into the banking app, allows teens with parental joint accounts to send payments directly from their bank account. But unlike other platforms, Zelle transfers funds directly between bank accounts. And so this is one of the challenges where teens have been coerced into sending payments like Zelle through Zelle, particularly when scammers use the app's anonymity to their own advantage. Apple Pay. Primarily known for purchasing goods and services, Apple Pay has also been used by some sextortion victims, similar to other platforms. Apple Pay's integration into the financial ecosystem makes it a target for scammers who uses it for functionality to facilitate. And then finally, interesting enough, gift cards. But it hadn't occurred to me that you can buy gift cards online. You know, I'm an old timer, I guess, but I think of going to Target to buy a gift card or your grocery store. But I forgot, you can go right online and get iTunes and Google Play or Amazon and Steam cards. And that is one of the most widely used methods in this kind of thing. So it's an interesting thing because most people don't realize the impact of this. In fact, what is happening is literally that we are connecting the whole world with internet, giving them mass audience live streaming so they can reach millions of people and millions of people can reach them. We have geolocation software. You know, we can do all kinds of AI deep fakes. You can even set up AI with a voice. You can modify a video so that our kids don't know who they're talking to. And now we give them easy money transfer to pay back the blackmailer. We have to take this on. We really have to take this on. I appreciate you listening to this. Okay, we're near the end of the podcast. If you've sat all the way through it, by the way, it says number 9 mass audience. Apparently I didn't get that changed, but please keep this. It's actually not number 9, it's number 12 for what it's worth. But this is an important subject and we need your help. I'd ask you to stay involved with me and kids. Get involved, stay involved, and then stay with us, support our work. Go to millionkids.org, hit that donate button. But most important, sit down with your child and make it so that they understand what it's like to live in a globally connected world. That 14-year-old they're looking at is very likely some big cartel guy out of Cambodia or maybe Nigeria, and they need to understand it. Help me take on the fight to make it so that it says offshore if the transmission is originating out of the country. Maybe it'll make seniors think twice. Maybe it'll make our kids think twice. So this is brought to you by Million Kids, millionkids.org. Please follow us. Follow us on Facebook at Million Kids Supporters. Ask for our newsletter. You just go on to millionkids.org and sign up for that newsletter. And we would ask you, if you have it in your heart to support our work, we would really appreciate that at millionkids.org/donate. Be sure and share this podcast and all of the rest of our work with others that you know. Put your arms around your family and let them know how much you love them. Look at your spouse or your significant loved one and let them know how important they are to you. And I'm going to see you next time on another P3 Kids podcast. This is Opal signing off.